The Seattle Seahawks were absolutely dominated by the Buffalo Bills at home, and the frustration builds. Welcome back to another episode of the Seattle Sports Show, where we love Seattle pro sports. I'm your host, Mikey, and today we are here to talk about that Seattle Seahawks loss to the Buffalo Bills at home, a loss in which they got dominated. They lose this one 31-10, and it wasn't even close. It wasn't even that close. Really, this was 31-3. We score a touchdown late in game, in garbage time. At that point, Buffalo's taking all their stars out of the game. And, we had a lot of our stars out of the game as well. Charbonnet is the one who scores the late touchdown there. But that doesn't make you feel good that, they're playing a weak defense and playing off defensively while you score, a garbage time touchdown. So really, he absolutely got dominated in this game. It was frightening to watch. In fact, I am recording this on Halloween morning, and this is probably appropriate because watching the Seahawks is the scariest thing you're going to see all week from this last game. Nothing's going to be, no matter what costumes you see out there, no matter what haunted houses you go out to, there's not going to be anything scarier that you see tonight than what we witnessed at home from the Seattle Seahawks. The one positive, we'll just get it out of the way because there's really only one positive you can take away from this game, is that you got Josh Allen to throw his first interception of the year, so you get to brag and say that you forced Josh Allen to throw the first interception that he's thrown all year. Good job by Job to get that done. He's been making flashes the last two games he's gotten to play. The rest of the game wasn't really great for him, so I'm not going to say that he's making a name for himself. But at least he's made some flashes, right? We know he's not made enough of a name for himself to guarantee himself the starting cornerback spot, because Mike McDonald said, yeah, there's going to be competition there. Because if you look at this game, he allowed 9 receptions to Khalil Shakir for 107 yards. Keon Coleman had 5 for 70. Dawson Knox, 2 for 50. Dalton Kincaid, 4 for 31. You allowed James Cook to catch 3 for 22 yards. So yeah, it just wasn't great. It wasn't even great there. And then, of course, we all know this run defense, it was even worse. My goodness. James Cook, 17 carries for 111 yards. Ray Davis had 6 for 29. Josh Allen carried the ball himself 7 times for 25 yards. In total, that team had 164 yards against you. So, defense didn't look great. It's this defensive performance looked the worst I've ever seen it in the last 15 years. It was just absolutely horrible. Again, this week we didn't. Most of the time our defensive line plays pretty well, and you would hope so with the amount of resources that they've poured into it. But even this week, the defensive line, watching the All-22 tape, not great. They were getting thrown around by this Buffalo Bills offensive line. So that was not good to see. And again, you could see the clear difference in a team that has a good offensive line versus what the Seahawks have. Because where they had 164 yards, you end up with 32 yards total as a team. Geno Smith was your leading rusher with 5 carries for 16 yards. Kenneth Walker, 9 carries for 12 yards, and Charbonnet had 3 carries total for 4 yards total. He had the touchdown, but again, it's not like the offensive line was out there giving them much to do. This offensive line, it's also the worst I've ever seen it in the last 15 years. It just can't really do anything. And there's been a lot of talk about, is Ryan Grubb, does he not know how to call an NFL offense? Has he not, was this transition too much for him? He's not calling a balanced enough game. Again, go watch the tape, see how this offensive line is playing, and they absolutely have no chance. You would think this offensive line would be better at run blocking, but it's not the case. They're even horrible in that. And at least with Geno Smith, even though he's getting pressured again, they're allowing like the most pressure in the NFL on the quarterback, this offensive line. And even with that, Geno Smith, he's making reads quickly and he's getting rid of the ball quickly. So at least you have a chance, because these running backs right now, with the way this offensive line is blocking in the run game, they don't have a chance. And I don't care how much K9 can do with all the juking ability that he has, the speed that he has. When there's nothing there, he's not, nobody's going to get anything. We could have Derrick Henry playing the way he's playing over in Baltimore. If we brought him over to our team, people would be saying, "Oh, it's time for him to retire," because he would look so bad behind this offensive line. And it's just, that's. I mean, as far as I could tell, that's the reasoning why this is happening with the play calling the way it's going. And again, the passing game is at least giving you something. JSN, we got to see him step up a little bit. With DK's absence, 6 receptions for 69 yards. And that was really your bright spot on offense. Like all the other passes were like sprinkled throughout the rest of the offense. I think, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 receivers caught the ball. What was disappointing in this is that we were thinking maybe this will be a chance for Tyler Lockett to also step up and show that he's still got it. 1 reception for 9 yards. Jake Bobo, maybe he's going to get in there and he'll get more snaps, so he'll get a chance to shine. 1 catch for 15 yards. People were saying, "Oh, Laviska Shenault, he's probably going to get a chance," and he's got speed. 1 reception for 10 yards. So we end up with over 200 yards total, but it's very spread around, and nobody else other than JSN was, consistently running good routes and getting open. And again, that offensive line was not giving them much time to either, I suppose. D. Williams, I'm just, again, I'm never going to call for somebody's job, but I will be surprised if he continues to have one with the way he's, fielding punts back there. I mean, as a punt returner, that's your job, right? The first thing you have to do is field the punt. And if you can't catch it consistently, if it's consistently, you're putting yourself in a situation where the ball is bouncing off of you and you're turning it over to the other team, it's not going to last long. So I mean, this was just absolute domination by the Buffalo Bills. And what was disappointing, I think, for me, was the rushing game. And not because we weren't calling more run plays, because again, that offensive line, they weren't going to allow any run plays to be successful. which again, that's the disappointing part, is that we had no chance because going into this game, yards per rush, the Buffalo Bills were actually allowing more yards per rush than the Seahawks were. And we all know how bad the Seattle Seahawks run defense is. We were allowing 5.1 yards per rush. They were allowing 5.6. You end this game with 1.9 yards per rush. Just absolutely baffling how that you could come away with that with a team that was actually playing, worse against the rush per rush than you. But yeah, that was that game. And the scariest thing you're going to see all this week. We got a new week coming up against the Rams, and I figured, again, with how busy my work schedule has been lately and how tired it's making me, I'm probably not going to get a chance to do a preview for that game on another day. So I'm doing it now. So let's talk about that game against the Los Angeles Rams. This is also, like, thinking about it on Halloween, I am scared. This team, they are heading in the right direction injury wise, where you are going in the wrong direction. They just got Puka Nacua back in his first game back. He looked amazing, over 100 yards. And we're in a situation where, we've had Trey Brown missing, Reek Woolen missing. Now, they were full participants in practice this week, but how much, how are they really going to be 100% to go up against, these amazing receivers that they're going to have to go up against? And then, we got people limited. Draymond Jones, Nehemiah Pritchett, we got Noah Fant, Tyler Lockett. These guys have all been banged up, and they're limited in practice this week. So that's not looking good, injury wise. And then really not looking good, DK Metcalf still has not practiced. Again, this is Thursday morning. They're saying there's a chance that he could start practicing today, on Thursday, on Halloween. At this point, he hasn't. So, and they said this injury was going to be week to week. So we'll know today. If he doesn't practice today, it's really not going to be looking good for this week. Hopefully he does practice, and hopefully he looks good coming out of that, but we'll see. Laviska Shenault also messed up his knee, not practicing. Devin Weatherspoon comes up with a new injury. He's got a foot injury. That's as far as that's what I know, right? So whereas maybe you're getting some corners coming back, your best one is injured. Again, I don't know the severity of it, so hopefully it's not bad. But if you're not going to have him in there as well against, again, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, both guys being able to line up wherever you want, a corner that can line up in any position against any type of receiver and do well against them. So it's going to be scary without him on the field if that is the case. And Leonard Williams also did not practice. He's been your most consistent and best defensive lineman this year so far. You gave him all that money to be, and he is. And they say that he just didn't practice for rest. So hopefully he's just nursing some small injuries, and he'll get right back into it and be in this game. But again, you're heading in the wrong direction with injuries, while the Rams have just recently gotten players back and they're starting to play like a good Rams team that we see. You know, when they have a good roster, that team is well coached and will put them in positions to win. And the roster, as their roster is getting healthier, it's starting to look good, right? So, looking at what they do, though, what they've been to this point so far is, pretty below average. Points per game, they're ranked 23rd with 20 points. Yards per game, they're 20th. Their red zone scoring is 19th. Okay, now here's the thing. This is where our defense comes in. Their yards per rush is ranked 30th with 3.9, and their rushing yards per game, their rushing yards per game, 101. That they rank 26th. Okay, so they're at the bottom of the league in these statistics. So, can this defense finally step up against the run and make this team look like they have been, or is this going to be another game where the Seahawks get run all over and allow them to get back on track? Because we know Kyron Williams is good. We know they have a good offensive line, so they could at any moment push those numbers up. And looking at it defensively, from our point of view, we're ranked 28th, allowing 4.9 yards per rush. We are allowing 148 yards per game in the rushing game, which is somehow not last place, where it's actually not even next to last. We're ranked 29th. I can't believe that we're not in last place, allowing that many yards per game in the rush game. But yeah, we're 29th. But again, their offensive run game has not been like otherworldly. So the Seahawks really need to step their game up and just not allow that, right? And then for us, hopefully this offensive line can get the running game going. They're also not great. They're allowing themselves 4.6 yards per rush, and they are allowing 139 yards per game on the ground. So can the Seahawks improve? Again, I just told you how bad this offensive line is. We're just getting 4.3 yards per rush, ranked 20th, and our rushing yards per game. Again, remember, we have K9 and Zach Charbonnet. This should be a really good 1-2 punch. We're only getting 89 yards rushing per game. That is ranked 29th. So we're 29th in running offense and run defense. No team in the NFL is going to win that way. I mean, we're lucky to be tied for first place in our division and be 500. That's just not winning football. You can't be 29th in rushing and 29th in run defense. So hopefully both of these numbers improve drastically in this game, and that's what you're going to need to beat this team. The Rams defensive line, they have started playing better, but they're young, so hopefully you'll be able to take advantage of that. Get them out of position, make them make mistakes so that you can get K9 some big holes to run through and hit some home runs. But we'll see. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, I think that will that's going to help your passing offense by opening up even more lanes for your receivers to run in, right? If they have to stack the box. So their run defense isn't good either. So hopefully you can get that done, because their pass defense is isn't great either, right? So they're allowing 211 yards per game. They're ranked 16th. So I mean, they're right in the middle, right? Their yards per pass that they're allowing is 31st, 8 yards per reception is what they're allowing. And for us offensively, we are 17th. We're gaining 7.2 yards per pass. So we're close to what they're allowing. So hopefully we can take advantage of that and then bump that number way up. Our passing yards per game, we're first overall, 262. And again, their pass defense, they're just like right in the middle. So you should be able to take advantage of that and have a big game through the air. But you can make that easier on yourself by playing or blocking well in the run game as well, so that your run game is actually a threat. But yeah, I mean, for this Rams game, if we're able to keep it balanced, because the offensive line is actually able to block the run game, I think we will be able to beat this Rams team, and that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a better game from your offensive line. I think this will still be a high-scoring game, because the Rams, again, their offense is starting to, get healthy and starting to click. And our defense, I just don't trust it right now. So I'm not going to say that we're going to hold anybody to anything right now. But I think the way our offense is playing versus their defense, it's just going to be enough to, get ahead and stay ahead of a Rams team. So I'll say we win this one 35-31. It's going to be high scoring. Both these teams' defenses not playing great. Our offense being one of the top offenses in the league, and their offense, getting healthier and starting to play like one of the best offenses in the league. All right. Yeah, so that's my prediction. That's my preview. And let me know what you thought of the Buffalo Bills game. How are you feeling about our chances against the Rams? And how do you feel about this division? I mean, everything's up for grabs now. After we lose, we're tied with the 49ers, who are, they just got so much depth. They just look like a juggernaut, right? Even when they lose players, they have enough players there that step up, and they've done a good job of scouting and drafting for their team. So it's going to be tough competition for this division, but there's still a chance that we could do it. We just got to get in the right side of the win column, which hopefully we do here against the Rams. So again, let me know how you're feeling. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave some comments, and thanks for listening to the Seattle Sports Show, where we watch legends awaken. So take cover, because with a sea of sound, you'll see us rise to reign supreme and win forever. Go Hawks.